Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Saturday morning. It's the Saturday Share the Love Club. And as Monique put it yesterday, we're finally getting around to doing Jim Sann. She's making alluding to the joke of Pascal on the Open Gym episode where he says, "You, Jim, this is Open Gym. Open Gym, this is Jim. And y'all need to make an episode about Jim Sann." And that was like a long time ago when Siakam made that footage with Jim Sann, like early when in his career. And now they finally made a Jim Sann episode last year. And now Monique is making the joke on top of it that now you're finally doing a Share the Love Club for Jim Sann, and very much well deserved. Jim Sann, if people do not know his story, you can watch the Open Gym episode from last year. It's fantastic. But also, I'll just tell you a little bit about it right now. He's somebody who has always had a passion for basketball. And in some ways, he was from New York. He's from New York, New York. In some ways, he kind of has a George Costanza story. If that makes any sense to y'all. If y'all know Seinfeld, George worked for the Yankees for a while, and he did a whole bunch of different jobs for the Yankees. And there'd be these funny scenes with Costanza talking to George Steinbrenner. Well, in some ways, Jim Sann started his career very much like how George Costanza did on Seinfeld. He just showed up to the organization. He said, "I will do whatever you guys need me to do." And he had some crazy, crazy job titles early on. He was like basically this dude who was willing to go do whatever the organization asked him to go do at whatever time of the day of the week, whatever. He was just like, "Yeah, I'll go do this." Stuff that nobody else wanted to do. He raised his hand and he said, "I will go and do this." And because of that, he got really, really far in the NBA with his career. He really did start from being like kind of a gopher, kind of just somebody who shows up and does things to help out in any kind of way. And then it morphed more and more, and he became more of like a he's had every single job you can have as an assistant coach on a team. He was a video coordinator, assistant video coordinator. He's been assistant coach, obviously. He's also been very much a practice coach like he is now. So it's kind of funny. Like he basically just melded himself like water into whatever role they asked of him, and he just did it. He didn't say, "No, I can't do it." He didn't think he could. He didn't have any doubt that he could do it. He just said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And he showed up and he did it. And that really is a testament to being like very open-minded, and a can-do attitude will get you far in this world. And if anybody has a can-do attitude, it's Jim Sann. And yeah, it's awesome. His first job was actually with us. Other after the Knicks, the actual first assistant coach job was actually with the Raptors under Kevin O'Neal in the mid 2000s. He started with us in 2003, guys. So actually, Jim Sann was with us 20 years ago. So that's kind of cool. This will be at 20 years ago when he was with us for the first time. So in some ways, he's one of the longest standing members of the Raptors organization as far as him being around longer than anybody else. In some ways, I think Wayne Embry may be right around the same place as him. But other than that, nobody else has been like, I knew he left and he came back and he was gone for a big chunk of the time, but he was here 20 years ago on the Raptors team under Kevin O'Neal. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, he bounced all over the place. He in his Open Gym, they talk about him working with Jason Kidd in the Nets. And Jason Kidd said some very glowing things about Jim Sann. He said basically, any team that gets Jim Sann on their staff is lucky. That he is really, really, anybody would be happy to have him on their team. And that's coming from Jason Kidd's mouth. Now, he spent time there with the Nets for a while, and then he went to the Bulls. And when he was with the Bulls, he had something sad happen where his wife died. She had cancer, and she died suddenly while he was coaching with the Bulls. And the Bulls were very, very kind and allowed him to take time as a single dad all of a sudden to really take care of his kids and have a little bit of time more with them. And he had to leave. But then he took another job eventually with the Nets. And he came back and he was coaching again with the Nets. That's when he was with Jason Kidd. And then while he was there with the Nets during that period, he had heart problems all of a sudden. He was having chest tightness, and he was ignoring it. He was like very much trying to power through it and be like, "Yeah, it's nothing. It's just a little tightness. I'll just keep playing." But he shouldn't have, because he had a multiple heart attacks around that period of time, and his health was very much in trouble. He's, as he said himself in his open gym episode, he thought people that exercise all the time don't have heart attacks. Well, he was wrong. And he was like, now he had to really watch out for himself. He said in his open gym episode that he had to make lifestyle changes. Now he's kept them private. I don't know what they are. It's good that he was had the strength and the wherewithal and the awareness to make those lifestyle choices to change and be more healthy and still be around. In fact, his brushes with death, he literally was dead on the Nets practice floor in front of Kevin Garnett and the other coaches and stuff because he just dropped. He just dropped. He was on the floor and he was literally dead, like pronounced dead, and they brought him back to life. So in some ways, Jim Sann is this kind of guy who in some ways like me, has very came close to very much dying and knows what it's like to very much almost die. And people like that sometimes have an appreciation for life that's deeper than other people just because they know just how fragile and just how, like, we're all vulnerable. We are all just living beings on this planet, just like all the other living beings. And as much as those living beings die and go away, we do too. The little ones, they have a harder time protecting themselves and maybe shorter lifespans, but we do also. And Jim's very, very aware of his mortality. And that is something about him that's probably very interesting is like, Kevin Garnett will never, ever forget the day that Jim Sann died on the floor in front of him. And then he came back to life. It's a pretty crazy story. So Jim has a lot of like appreciation for life and just a vigor and a rig, loves like his every day getting out of bed because, that wasn't always promised for him. And, he's had some great things happen. He met his second wife. She's a massage therapist and she seems so happy with her. And then their family is more complete with his kids having a mother in their life again. And it's just he sounds like he's in a very good place at this point. Now, with all the craziness with Nick Nurse getting fired at the end of the season, there was a lot of questions about who would be still hanging around. Well, Jim Sann is an organizational coach, not necessarily considered a coach under Nick Nurse's staff. So he is safe and he will continue to be on the Raptors staff. Now, I think part of it is he really loves Toronto. He really, really does love Toronto. He said out of all the places he's worked, this is the place he likes the best. And that's why he's here. And in some ways, maybe Masai is like, I know you've had heart problems and stress, and I know you've had hard issues with your wife dying before and stuff like that. I don't want to make your life any more stressful. I don't want to mess with you. You're just gold. You're good. You can just keep doing what you've been doing for us. Don't worry about who the coach is. You are a part of our organization and you will just be here. And that's good peace of mind for somebody like Jim Sann. In some ways, the dude deserves it because he was that Costanza kind of guy who came in and did anything he had to do. Maybe not the same work ethic of George Costanza, but I just like that example of that's the kind of thing he did to get into the NBA. He was very much like he got in. It was kind of a fluke. And he really, really busted his butt and said, I'll do anything y'all want me to. And he made a career in the NBA out of it. It's kind of crazy and kind of cool when you think about it. So, yeah, just celebrating Jim Sann, the guy who will go down to OVO Center in the middle of the night and go rebound for Pascal Siakam if he calls him in the middle of the night. They said that again. They said that on the open gym episode. If I want to go shoot, Jim will come and meet me and he'll be there for me at any time. And I love that about him, his ability to be there for the Raptors at any moment. And he is there, and he's a good, steady force and personality around the team that keeps guys happy and in good places. I love it. I've always heard all the Raptors say good things about Jim Sann, Coach Jim. Yeah. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying this morning in the comments. Always happy to see the Raptor Freaks come out in the morning. Raptor Freaks come out in the morning. The Raptor Freaks come out in the morning. Yeah. The Raptor Freaks. Yeah. Logical Raptors Fanatic is here first. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always 2:00, baby. That's the sweet time today. It's Saturday. And that means Logical Raptors Fanatic will have a new thing coming out on his channel today. Follow Logical Raptors Fanatic on his YouTube channel. Fantastic channel. Mike is saying, Jim Sann is great basketball person. Jim really helped Siakam develop. Yeah, in the clips you can see of him, and the little bit I saw at the coach's open house last year, and just different places. He very much is like he's this kind of guy. Like you have guys that rebound and kind of give you the ball and feed you as you do your pregame and other practice times. But he's giving you little like uh, commentary while he's doing it. He'll basically say something like, "All right, well, come around this way and do it this way," or use your other hand in this way, or when you step to this foot instead, and because he has a really good knowledge. His coaching tree is kind of phenomenal, honestly. When he first started, he was working with Jeff Van Gundy and Pat Riley. So he kind of comes from the Riley school of coaching. He has a direct link to working with Pat Riley. So that kind of prestige to that is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Jeff Van Gundy, Pat Riley, Tom Thibodeau, Lawrence Frank, uh, Jason Kidd, Dwayne Casey. These are the guys that he was coaching under for most of his career. Those are the coaches, his coaching tree. Very, very impressive people he's been around. G San, Eric Lewis using a burner account to defend himself is wild. He was even using childlike lingo to fit in. Jim Sann has been great. I love G. G's so funny with this comment. He's multitasking there. Yeah, this is a little bit of the news of the day. Yesterday, a referee, Eric Lewis, has been caught using a burner account on Twitter to defend himself on Twitter. We know the players do this to a degree, but I've not heard of a referee doing this before. And this guy's kind of an idiot. I knew he was an idiot, and I knew he was dirty. In fact, called him out like a month ago because there's a lot of photos that are surfacing all over the place. They've been around for a while, and people have known this. But his family has grown up, and he is a Celtics fan. There is all kinds of pictures of him all over the internet in a Celtics jersey, and his family wearing Celtics jerseys regularly still to this day. I feel like this is a conflict of interest. Like, seriously, you could maybe be a Celtics fan deep down inside, but don't put it on blast. The optics of it are not good for the NBA when we're already questioning the credibility of the referees, Eric Lewis. This could very well be, listen to this, G, think about this. This could very well be the part of the little bit of the string that they're going to pull and unravel and get rid of some of these dirty refs at the top of the league. We may see not like a Donaghy scandal because this isn't betting, but we could see Eric Lewis get out and have to go retire all of a sudden because of this. This could be a very sideways way to get rid of one of the bad refs because he is one of the bad refs. Him, Scott Foster, we know those dudes are bad refs. Ed Malloy. And now we have one of them with a little bit of a target on them from the NBA for doing something stupid. So I love it. Go ahead, NBA, investigate him. And Eric Lewis, you're an idiot. You're a referee. You really need to do this. Like, once again, when Scott Foster protested, the whole Dost protest too much, Scott Foster, with Scotty Barnes calling you a cheater, that shows and implies guilt. And that's what I'll say about that. So in some ways, Eric Lewis, the fact that you feel like you need to have a burner account on Twitter to defend yourself implies guilt. That why would you need to do that? And why are you so sensitive about it if you aren't cheating ass and illegal is what I'm saying. So, people that are on the up and up and they are good referees don't need burner accounts. Let's just put it that way. So we'll have to see how this all falls out, and we'll just have to see if the referees union protects him or he gets fired. He may get fired this summer. Trust me, he might. Seriously. And I love that you're saying Jim Sand's been great. Yes, he has. He's been great for a long time. This is an average Joe that loves and has a passion for basketball, and he just followed that passion, and it got him to very cool places. That is Jim Sann. Fiercey Salcera is here in the morning. Good to see Fiercey. Good morning, fam. The fact that Jim Sann is still on the coaching staff is very comforting and a sign front office wants to maintain good vibes and relationships with those they deem will help them achieve their goals. Yeah, I don't like scrapping everything all at once. And especially if you don't want to have collateral damage from Nick if it's not necessary with certain people that really didn't do anything wrong. And I feel like, when these guys were kind of going through the whole staff at the end of the year, Bobby and Masai, they really looked at each individual person and their linkages to possible toxicness from this year. And they found that, well, Jim's just not that dude. He's just kind of sticks to his business, does what he does, and we love what he does. and we don't want to mess with that. And then Rico, it's probably a very similar thing. We understand what Rico Hines brings to the table. And you know what? His personality may not have had anything to do with any of this stupid stuff that happened this year. So he is also safe and will still be a coach going forward for the Raptors. I love that. I love that those two guys for sure are going to be back because it's true, Fiercey. We want some continuity. We want some kind of steadying people around for our young Raptors to feel like some continuity from before and just a little bit of familiarness, even if some things are going to be completely different as far as who the head coach is and stuff. So, yeah, great comment, Fiercey. Great comment. Cool Cat's here. Good to see Cool Cat in the morning. Always happy to see Raptor Freak Cool Cat, one of the best in the business, baby. The Cool Cat is in the house. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Jim Sann is one of the originals. Yeah, he's an interesting one. Like, Jason Kidd really means it when he says any of the other teams in this league want Jim Sann. He is another example of something that other teams would covet and take very gladly, very quickly if he was released by us and he wasn't here anymore. In fact, that may be part of the reason why Masai's like, we need to hold on to our good assets as much as possible. And Jim Sann is one of them. Rico Hines is one of them. And, we may be letting go of Nick Nurse, but do we need to let go of all of our really good assets around our coaching staff? No way, because people want Jim Sann. People want Rico Hines, and we got them still here. Thank God. A little bit of continuity. Tom Duke is here. Good to see Tom Dookie on the West Coast. Scotty Barnes, Switch Family 2022, baby. Yeah, good day, sir. And Freakaroos. Jim, total behind the scenes fixture for the organization. So valuable. I know very little about Jim and his daily duties. Well, it's really kind of like, these guys need somebody to be there for them when they want to just shoot around. And he can just, like I said, he can be a little bit of like a practice shoot around caddy where he's kind of like helping with the rebounding, kind of giving them a rhythm. Part of it is how Jim catches the ball and bounces it to them and delivers it to them. He can do it in different ways. So it sets them up for different ways that they need to catch the ball to shoot it. I mean, they're thinking about every little detail like that. And you can see when he's doing it, he's pointing stuff out to them. He's giving them little tips. And a lot of times that stuff is basic fundamental stuff that will really help them find an easier way to do some things on the court. And that's the kind of thing that he'll do is he'll use his broad knowledge base from many, many years around the NBA and other coaches and deliver little nuggets of information about positioning and holding your hands and all that kind of stuff. He really can help in practice in little ways with tweaking stuff. I saw some footage of him with Malachi and the things he was saying to him about his shot and all these different things was very helpful and really, really good stuff. Now, Tom, I found out last night that there's going to be a basketball camp in Victoria done by Nav Bhatia. So I don't know if that interests you, but there's a basketball camp going on in Victoria coming up. Nav Bhatia has a basketball camp out west. It's going to be going to a couple of the BC cities. I know that Vancouver and Victoria are two of them. So there's going to be a Nav Bhatia basketball camp out there very soon from what I've seen. Nameless is here. Good to see Nameless. What's up, you good-looking people? What's up to you, Nameless? Buongiorno, my mon ami, mon frere. Yes, my good buddy. Yes, Nameless is here. I love to see Nameless in the morning. Always good to see the name Nameless. I don't know what your name is. Let's see. Monique is here. Monique has made it today. Good to see Monique. We miss you when you're not here. And when you are here, it's the better day always when Monique is here. Good morning, everyone. If you haven't seen his Open Gym episode, go watch it. Jimmy is the best. She's exactly right. If you had not seen that Open Gym episode, Jim Sann's episode, you need to watch it just so you will know more about Jim Sann and who he is and what he's all about and just how grateful he is to be alive and walking on this earth and still working in the NBA. He really does appreciate working for the Toronto Raptors and Masai Ujiri. Trust me, he really, really does. Tom Duke is saying, Buongiorno, Nameless, and Mo. Let's go. And he's got the 5 Raptor lineup. I love seeing that. That's good stuff, Tom. Race Mode saying, good morning, freaks. What's the news for the coach hunt? June 22nd is around the corner. Ooh, Edmund's looking at his watch and wondering about what's going on with the coaches stuff. Not a whole lot of new buzz yesterday anywhere about any of the coaches' jobs. Basically kind of like just a normal Friday, not really hearing a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, I can keep looking. Nameless has got the salute going. Mike is saying Twitter burner mayhem. Yeah, that is pretty wild about Eric Lewis. I bet you he's not the only one. This is always the case with these kind of things. When one person does it, there's other people doing it too. So I bet you there's other referees that have burner accounts also. Pretty funny stuff. I love it. Trevor saying, good morning, bro. I would just like to say I love your show. So keep on doing what you do. And God's going to keep on blessing you for the rest of your life. I believe that. Trevor, thank you, man. That's a fantastic comment. And I appreciate it. I don't know if I'm worthy of it, but I appreciate it, man. I love doing this show too. And I'm glad that you guys find real quality in it too. Also, I want to give you guys the info that, everybody should know what's going on with the Raptors. If you care about the Raptors and you want to know what's going on with the team and the players, I will try my best to give you everything. In fact, let's do that right now. We're going to talk about what they're doing on Instagram right now first. Of course, there's all the pictures of Freddie with Rich Paul and Clutch on Instagram on his thing. He's putting on blast his visit to Clutch headquarters with Erica Ruiz. And Rich Paul is in the pictures with him, talking directly to him. And yeah, it is what it is. We'll have to see. Rich Paul, are you going to work with Fred to help him stay on the Raptors? Or are y'all going for big money and getting him out of here? I want to see what y'all do. I am still holding out hope that something can happen with Fred where he's still going to be on the Raptors. But, in some ways, what does he care about? Does he care about being in Toronto and playing for us? Or does he care about big money somewhere else? We'll have to see what happens with that. Fred's also putting on blast a team of youngsters. I'm not sure what that team is, but of course, all the Raptors have young people that they're following and they care about, maybe family members that they want to put on blast. Thad Young is really got a cool Instagram story right now. His son, Taylor, has got a crazy setup in his bedroom with all kinds of lights, smart lights, and you can see his computer lab and stuff. And they're showing off their kids' rooms right now, and they're just crazy. TJ has got a smiley face and neon, and I don't know what they did, but they got the room all blinged out for Thad Young Jr. Good stuff. And Slim Duck. All right, listen, Slim Duck, very active last night. He was in Montreal for the Montreal Alliance game, the CEBL game, because his buddy, I forget his name, Ibrahim, I think is his name, everybody's uncle. He is the GM of one of these teams. And it's really an important business for his buddy, his best friend, who's involved in the CBL. So Chris and Lou Dort showing up in full effect last night in Montreal at the Montreal Alliance CBL game. It's cool to see Chris with Lou always. They get together all the time because they're Montreal guys, and they are obviously very good friends because they don't mind taking pictures together. And you know what? Listen, Lou Dort in a Raptors jersey someday would really make sense. Seriously. But yeah, I love all the footage of them at the Montreal CEBL game last night. Chris having a good time there with Lou Dort, and he's getting in there with the kids, all kinds of mingling up with the kids with Chris Boucher. And there's one kid who's like, "Get a picture with me, Chris," and he comes back and he takes a picture with them. And the kid looks like he could be young Chris Boucher himself. Like he looks like a younger version of Chris Boucher, getting a picture with him. And of course, he's like, "Yeah, I'll take a picture with you, kid. You look just like how I look when I was younger, and you could be me for Pete's sake." Yeah, I love it. Let's see what else is going on here. Monique, I'm going to look at your Instagram real quick because there was something you posted on there that I want to go over real quick. There's been on Twitter a MLE ideas list. That's the mid-level exception. And there's a couple of players on this list, and we're talking about the mid-level exception for the Raptors. Like, who could we maybe target? And I like this list. Let me just read the list real quick, and I'll tell you right after the name whether I say yes or no. Josh Richardson, yes. Dylan Brooks, maybe. Seth Curry, yes. Bruce Brown, for sure, especially with the way he's been playing in the playoffs this year. Lonnie Walker IV, yes. Corey Joseph, yes. Dante DiVincenzo, not really. No, I'm not interested in that. TJ Warren, a little bit older and not in very good shape, like kind of near the end of his career. He can still do some offense, but not really interested in him. Dennis Smith Jr., yes, he'd be okay. He's an athletic kind of guard and can do a lot. Jalen Noel, I'm kind of on maybe. And then Ayo, sure, why not? Ayo DeSumo from the Chicago Bulls. So real quick, going over the MLE players that are on that MLE list for mid-level exception. For me personally, I'm all about Josh Richardson, Seth Curry, Bruce Brown, Lonnie Walker the fourth, Corey Joseph returning to the Raptors and playing as a backup point guard with all the defense that he can give. Yes, I'm all about that, and I like the return because the leadership also. So if Corey Joseph comes back to the Raptors, I wouldn't be upset. And then Io and Dennis Smith, I'm okay with them too. So just a little looking at that MLE thing that Monique posted. I like seeing that, Monique. Thank you for putting that up. Let's see, Pascal has got more posts up. He's really celebrating Red Bull and putting Red Bull brand on blast in different ways, and talking about Salzburg and their football team over there that's sponsored by Red Bull. He very much is a company man, and he likes to go and show support for Red Bull and all of the different entities in the Red Bull organization. So there you go, Pascal. I like it. Scotty is on vacation once again. He has left Toronto again, and he's with his crew. This is the same crew that he was with in Montreal last summer. It's his guys, Nardo and Jay and Jason. And they're all down in, I'm not even sure where they are. It could be he's back in Mexico again, or he could be just on an island or something. I have no idea exactly where they are, but he's down there with his amigos, and they're having a good time. It's kind of cool to see Nardo and Jay and Jason, their faces, because I didn't know what they looked like. I just heard their voices and him talking to them on Twitch last summer. So that's pretty cool to see Scotty in another hot island somewhere with his boys, with his buddies, and having good pal around time with them. Hopefully, staying out of trouble and just being smart and healthy, and still getting workouts somehow, some way. I mean, all these guys play basketball, so it could very well be they're finding pickup courts down there and they're getting a little bit of time in. Steve Nash, I am going to go check him since he is kind of important with our search right now. There's pictures of his family with his kids and his wife. And then there's a soccer post, but yeah, we don't know what's going on with Steve Nash exactly. I like going and checking on him still. So there's your Instagram check with the Raptors real quick. What's going on in Raptors world on Instagram from what I can see? Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see. Tom Duke saying 100%. Tom Trevor, right on. Whoop whoop. Thank you guys for the support. You guys are awesome. Seriously, you really are. Like Bette Midler says, the wind beneath my wings, because I ain't got no wind without y'all. And thank you. Thank you for being here and encourage me and keeping me going. I will keep going. I promise. I will. Infamous is saying, morning freaks. If they haven't got rid of Foster, they won't get rid of him. The union will protect him. It was his brother that ran the burner account, not him. Interesting info. So it wasn't actually him. It was his brother that's running it. Maybe that's the story they're trying to put there for it in some ways. I don't know. They're investigating it though. We'll have to see how this goes. You're right. In some ways, these referees are protected just like police officers. They close ranks around each other and really, really save each other in different ways. That's the power of unions. That's the thing that people need to realize. Look at how the police union is so strong. Look at how the referees union is so strong, and realize why they don't want you to be in a union, because they can protect themselves. And you know what? You can have that too. If you join a union, you would have more protection from your employer. And that's why there's anti-union busters out there, because Amazon don't want that. Starbucks don't want that. Well, that's what happens. You get a union, you get strength, you get a power to protect yourselves, just like the referees and the police. So if they get their unions so strong, why aren't there more job unions that are strong for other occupations? And that's what you got to think about. Well, if the police union can be so strong, the teachers union should be just as strong and just as powerful a lobbying entity in this world. And that's what I'm saying is, like, unions are good because obviously you can see how they help and protect cops. Maybe in some ways people say unions aren't good because they protect dirty cops or dirty refs. Well, they're still good. You want to have protection on your job and have rights, the union will stand there for you. And that's why people should encourage joining unions in their professions and get involved in one. If you're already involved in one, you go and be more active in it. Maybe become the rep for your union and really take some leadership in it. All right, let's keep going. Fiercely saying, saw Fred VanVleet's Instagram story. He was in Arizona. Also, Coloco's at the Clutch event, I believe. Coloco's been interesting on Instagram. He's working out like crazy. And in fact, there's a picture of Coloco that I saw in the last couple of days where he looks more jacked. Now, you think about what Scotty looked like after his first rookie year, and then he took the summer and he came back in his sophomore year. He looked way bigger and stronger. In fact, I saw some footage of rookie Scotty, and he looked like a different person than the person he is now. Well, we can expect this with Coloco. with the proper nutrition and the weight training staff of the Raptors, teaching him how to really maximize getting bigger. Look, this picture I saw of Koloko yesterday, he had guns. He didn't have little spaghetti arms. He actually had some big muscle right there, like Serge Ibaka did. So we can expect Koloko to come back very much stronger next season. I'm already seeing payoffs in the weight room for him in the pictures that I'm seeing of him. Now, he may have been at that event, but he hasn't put it on blast really. Let me go ahead and look at Koloko real quick, because I know that he is actually hang on. Why doesn't it just let me go to him? It's CJ Koloko, I believe. Yeah, there it is. CJ Koloko, Christian Jr. Christian Jr. Now, I don't know if he's actually at OVO. Okay, the picture I see where he's jacked up, he's wearing a Raptors shirt. He's with Chris Johnson Hoops, and it says success is all about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. And I love that. The picture is Koloko's smiling real big, and he's jacked. His muscles look jacked in that picture, seriously. And then we see him working out. And the place that he looks like he's working out at is the OVO Center, because it's got red. He's wearing Raptors stuff. And I think he's been at OVO almost every day this whole summer. You know, they may do this thing with their rookies where they say, look, if you want to really be serious, stay here and work really hard in your first offseason after your rookie year. Because we saw that pattern with Scotty last year, where he hung around Toronto a lot last year. And maybe Koloko's doing the same in his first offseason this year. Yeah, he's lifting the weights, the huge weights on his back. And that may not be OVO Center, but it kind of looks like OVO Center. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, he could be at that clutch event. I don't know. We'll have to see. Cool Cat saying, I think that explains why Pascal was giving his support to some of our development staff. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, these guys have been so quiet about the Nick Nurse exit and the changes and stuff. We'll have to see how things change. And then we'll see if we get any information from them about their opinions about the change with the Raptors this summer. We'll have to see. There's so much up in the air right now, and it has to all be settled, that nobody's really making statements right now. They're kind of like us. They're waiting and seeing what happens. So we'll have to see. Monique saying Jim's story hits different. He almost died in practice. Do you remember that story? That's crazy. I know. He's crazy. Like, he thought it was heartburn, and he went and got a Zantac. He ran in the back, got a Zantac, and ran back out, and then he dropped to the floor, and everybody freaked out. This was at the Nets practice facility when he was working for the Nets. And they literally had to get the defibrillator, the things that go and shock him back to life, and brought him back to life. And like, seriously, I think that this incident had a very strong impact on Kevin Garnett in particular, because he saw the whole thing happen in person. And that kind of stuff will bond people in a weird way. It's like, dude, I saw you die. And it's like Jim says, whenever I see Kevin, we make jokes about that incident, and it's like bonded them for life. It's like, if Kevin Garnett's around Jim Sann, they're going to talk about the time when Kevin saw him drop dead in front of him. It's kind of like that, seriously. Fun guy saying, hey guys, based on talk right now, sounds like some staff update. We keeping some guys, letting some guys go. Yeah, fun guy. We're keeping Rico Hines. We're keeping Jim Sann. And I'm speculating that we're keeping Jamal McGlure also. And possibly Adrian Griffin. Adrian Griffin is still technically under contract with us. And he has kind of like, we're both kind of our backup plans. Seriously. It's like that. Adrian Griffin's out there for the head coaching search, and he is getting interviewed by people like Milwaukee and other places. But if he doesn't get one of those other jobs and we don't find the right candidate, we will hire Adrian Griffin as our next head coach. Watch. Seriously, I'm going to predict that right now. If we don't get the right candidate to replace Nick Nurse, we will replace him with Adrian Griffin. And it could be that, all right, they could come snatch him. Milwaukee could say, no, we're hiring him today. He's going to be our coach. And then, well, we don't get that backup plan. But this is the thing. We're kind of a backup plan for each other right now in a weird kind of way. The Raptors have him as a backup plan, and we're definitely his backup plan also. Because listen, if he does not get a head coach job and we don't hire him as a head coach and we get another head coach, he still has a job as an assistant on our team also. So anything that happens, Adrian has a job in Toronto no matter what. But if he gets something better, he can go. He has a green light to go and take it. But if he doesn't get one of those jobs, he can definitely come back here at least as the assistant coach, if not as our head coach. So he's in a good situation, and it's good for us. It's like underlying insurance that people don't realize is going on right now, because technically Adrian Griffin is under contract to be with the Raptors next year still. He has a contract for next year already, and he is kind of under it, but we'll break it and give him the right to go be a head coach somewhere else. But otherwise, seriously, we're both each other's backup plans right now. He's our backup plan, and we're his backup plan. Logical saying, Jim Sann also talks through mindset stuff and relaying NBA stories to help the player develop. This is such a good aspect, Mike, you're bringing up. This is exactly right. I mean, this is a dude who's been around a long time. He's been around people like Charles Oakley in the Knicks. He's been around so many different players around the league that he really can tell specific stories about superstars from the past that will really impress young players and say, oh, yeah, well, when I was with Pat Riley in New York, we had to do this and we did this with this and this way. And he's like, oh, wow, Pat Riley? Really? You know Pat Riley? It's that kind of stuff. It's totally true, Mike, that he uses old anecdotes from his past and experiences with other people for sure. Infamous is saying, I have a feeling that Nick may have felt betrayed by the other coaches, which may have led to his resentment towards us, similar to what he did to Casey. I'm glad you put that last part in. You can't feel like that if you did that to him. Turn around is fair play. Listen, Nick, you have one thing to do this year. You should have developed these guys. I don't care about winning to a degree. I did want to win, of course, but in some ways, you were directed by Masai Ujiri to develop these guys, and you didn't do that right. You didn't hit the mark on either one. You did exactly what I said at the beginning of the season we didn't need to do, and just get stuck in that subway door. 1 foot on the platform, 1 foot on the train, and the door closed on you, and the train went out the station, and you lost half your limbs. That's what happened. Seriously, bro. You needed to either get all the way on the train or just stay on the platform. And getting on the train is going to win, and staying on the platform is developing the young players. Well, you stood in the door and you got the door to close on you, and it took off and you eviscerated. I'm sorry. That's just how it goes. You needed to pick one or the other, and you did not double down on developing because that's not your forte. That's not who you are. That's not what you're good at. You're good at trying to go for it and winning, and you try to do that, and you didn't get successful at that. And that was the problem. That is very much the problem. He could have been portrayed by some of his assistant coaches because he pissed them off. He was wrong. Maybe Nate Bjorkgren, like I said, was out of pocket, said something wrong to Earl Watson. Earl Watson was like, no, screw this. I was a head coach in Phoenix, Nate. You were my assistant at that time. And you ain't going to talk to me like that. If anything, right now, we're equals, and you ain't going to talk down to me like that. And then boom, it's a big problem. In fact, I will speculate that it is exactly what I just said, that Nick had a problem with Nate and Earl not liking each other at a certain point and having a big problem in between them. And that may have been it. And he's going to side with Nate Bjorkgren, even though he's probably the one he shouldn't have sided with. And then it turns everything upside down and makes it real uncomfortable and just awkward. And it's awkward for the players, and then it's awkward for the coaches and stuff like that. I don't care if Nick felt betrayed. I don't give a shit how Nick feels right now. He's a big grown-up adult man who's won an NBA championship, been an NBA coach, and he's been tough in all kinds of situations. This year was a very much an ultimate test for him, and he failed to a degree. The pressure cooker of this season, he did not do well in it. He got mashed up like a meat in a meat grinder. And what happened was by the end of the season, he was calling uncle. He said, I can't take this ride anymore. It's uncomfortable. We're not winning enough. I'm getting too much scrutiny. I'm stressed the hell out. I'm ready to take 2 weeks off. Well, you still have games to play, coach. Oh, wait, I have games to play. Oh, yeah, I want to coach these guys as far as I can in the playoffs still. Oh, wait, but you said that other thing first. That's what I'm saying. Only the tough get going. Only the tough survive. What did Billy Ocean say? When the going gets tough, the tough get going. That's what I'm saying. Well, they don't get going out the door; they get going to win. But this one was not tough. He was not tough enough, and he had to get going out the door because the situation was just too tough for him. In fact, I feel like that's what it was. That Nick had some sort of weird pressure on him this year that he just didn't handle very well. G saying on Swish Culture's Instagram account, they showcased several players, including Nick Smith and Rico Hines, like that post. He looked very good. Okay, so Nick Smith Jr. getting a like from Rico Hines on Instagram on a picture. That's kind of a tell. Seriously, that is kind of a tell. We could infer it this way. Rico Hines likes that. He's going to go talk to Masai, say, hey, I seen this Nick Smith. I coached him in the scrimmage at the combine. He's fantastic. Masai, maybe you and Bobby should think about picking him in the draft. It could be very much like that is part of what Jim Sann and Rico Hines are going to be doing around the combine right now. analyzing this talent and coming back and reporting to Bobby Webster about who he should draft. And that's a good tell, G, and good eye to see that you saw Rico liking a picture of Nick Smith. That is very much a tell that maybe we are interested in him. Good info, G. I like that. Mike saying Ibrahim is GM. Interesting info. He seems like a really intelligent guy. He's a really, you know what? Listen, Chris has said that he is like his dad and his brother at the same time. Like he really helped guide him in really tough times to make smart decisions in his young pro career, and that he's indebted to him in some ways. Like he is super, super smart and really, really nice. Like all this stuff I've ever seen him talk and stuff like that, he just really carries himself really well. And he has like just a very good, like a personality. He really, really does. And I'm glad that he's Chris's best friend and also the person that helps him with his career. And it's fantastic that he's branched out and now he's doing GM work in the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Yeah, he's a really cool dude. He's a very interesting guy. And thank God he's in Chris's inner circle, because in some ways, I bet you Chris would tell you this. I would not be where I am right now in the NBA if I didn't have the guidance of Ibrahim next to me. I'm serious. I know Chris would tell you that. You ask him, he would give credit to him right away and say, yeah, I'm not here without him, because he really does help me stay in line in certain ways and keep me on good advice. That's really, really important in some ways. Monique saying Jim's kids are the sweetest. If you want, I can send him the video. His wife is a yoga instructor. You know what? Listen, if you guys want to do that, that's funny. I don't know. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself by saying something crazy on here that might be embarrassing to him or something. I'm just talking out of my mouth because that's what I do on this channel every morning. As a passionate fan of the Raptors, I love celebrating the Raptors, putting them on a positive spin and positive light. And yeah, Monique, if you can get this to Jim Sann and he wants to watch it, maybe he'll really much appreciate it. We want to tell you, Jim, as Raptor fans, and we know that not the average Raptor fan will know who you are to a degree, the average sports fan in Toronto, but the real diehard ones like us, the Raptor freaks, we love you. And we want you to stay in the Raptors organization for as long as possible, because we realize what kind of impact you have with our players and the personal connections that you build with them. I've seen how much Siakam loves you from that Open Gym episode. And I just love that you're a steadying force around there and just such a good resource for the young Raptors coming up as far as your knowledge base. Thank you, Jim Sann, and keep doing what you do. Please, sir. Please, sir. Keep going. You are awesome. And thank God you're still with our team. Logical saying Kanono is hungry as F. I think you might be right. Listen, this guy's really smart. He's a book nerd. When he was in high school, he very much was an A+ student, and he only wants to get A's. He only wants to get a straight GPA of 4.0. He doesn't want, and right now his school is the Raptors, and you don't think he's going to put in all the preparation that a nerd kid would in school to prepare and study and make sure absolutely that they get absolutely the perfect grade on whatever they have to do. That is who Koloko is. He's an honors student, an A+ student, and everything he does in life, he tries to do at that 4.0 grade point average level. And that is what he's doing this summer. He's going to treat his summer of development and making himself bigger and to do a better basketball player, just like he would his schoolwork when he was younger. So yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less from that kid because of his drive, his aptitude, and just who he is. He's very, very smart, and he understands. He puts the work in. He will get the results. And this is why we drafted him. Masai knew this when he got him. He's like, this kid really cares about working hard and getting better. And look at his frame. Oh my gosh, that's a slam dunk. And that's what you need to do more of, Christian. Slam dunks. No more laying it up soft. Next year, you're coming up at that rim with a vengeance. And you ain't messing around. Somebody get in your way, you just throw it down on their head. Yes, you do, sir. Yes, you do. Monique is saying, Danny Green wants Nick Nurse in Phoenix via Inside the Green Room. Wow. Okay, Danny Green doing his Inside the Green Room show still. I thought he was on Cleveland last. The last job that Danny had was in Cleveland on the Cavaliers. Well, he was politicking for a Phoenix job. In some ways, thank you, Danny Green. Thank you, Danny Green. I'm glad you're suggesting Phoenix for Nick Nurse. That's a much better place. Out of all the coaching jobs right now, if Nick Nurse took the Phoenix job, I would be very happy. In fact, I would be very nice to him, probably. Way more nice to him if he's going to take Milwaukee or Philadelphia or Boston's job. So go ahead, listen to Danny Green, Nick Nurse, and go on out west. Head west, young man, and go look for gold out there with the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant. Yeah, I think Danny Green's got a good suggestion. I'll double down on it and say, yeah, you should, Nick. Go to Phoenix. That's a good idea. Much better than Milwaukee or Philadelphia. Trust me. Yeah, we don't want you in the Eastern Conference. No, we don't. Fiercely saying, my mind is 80% set on Fred leaving, but I'm really curious about Thad and Gary Trent. Lots of answers once the new head coach is introduced. Please let it be someone who believes in development. Yes, yes, Fiercely Salsera. Yes, and yes, and yes. I don't know about Fred. We just got to go minute by minute, day by day, and we'll see how the things land with Fred. Now, with Thad, I'm pretty sure Thad's gone for sure. There's no way he's going to come back again after his experience in the last couple months of the season. I'm pretty sure if he has the option to go somewhere else, I mean, I know he's under contract with us, and maybe he will be back just because of that. But I could see us trading him, or something weird happening where like maybe we waive him and then he's going to another team or something like that. So I don't think Gary. Gary now he's the one I'm getting more positive about, because seriously, why would they put him on blast so much on the Raptors main account right now? The official Raptors account, Gary Trent Jr. is all over it. In fact, he's on it more than he's been in his whole career as a Raptor. That something's weird about that, and that maybe Gary is going to be in a Raptors uniform next season. I'm feeling better about that recently. I thought it was just kind of a thing where, yeah, Gary's going to probably be gone. But some weird things are happening with, like, why are they using him so much on the official count? If the writing's on the wall with him leaving, he may not be leaving, seriously. And his camp does actually want him to stay in Toronto. Some people got confused when Jordan Bolton and his family had a sign that said "Bring Gary home." Well, when they mean home, they mean Toronto, y'all. They don't mean Minnesota. They don't mean Cleveland and Ohio, where he's also from. They mean Toronto. So when they have that sign up, they said, "Bring Gary home." That means bring him back to Toronto and have him play here. That's what that means. G saying Scotty looks like he may be in Dominican Republic. Yeah, I think it is an island. I think it very much is an island and not necessarily like Mexico at this point. But he's definitely in a different location than he was a week or so ago when he was near Cancun. So yeah, he looks like he's over there. G saying apparently the burner account is directly linked to Lewis's AOL account. You're pretty sure it's him, but they will use the either angle, the other person's angle for sure. That's funny. Well, you know what's funny about this is he still has an AOL account. I think that's funny in itself. I know I make fun of this. Like, listen, y'all want to know how long I've been the Raptors freak? My very first email ever on the internet in like 1996 or 7 was raptorsfreak at AOL.com. I've used this nickname since the very beginning of the Raptors. The Raptors Freak was a nickname and something that I use as my email since the very beginning. I didn't have a Raptors Freak channel, but I have very much used Raptors Freak as a moniker for myself from the very beginning. My first ever email account was raptorsfreak at AOL.com. Isn't that crazy? I had an AOL email. And Eric Lewis is still using his. AOL. So funny. I know my dad's laughing right now, too, because we've been talking about AOL recently. It's so good. I think my dad still uses his AOL account, too. I don't know. Maybe he does. I think he does. MSJ saying that Fiercey. I feel the same way. Fred seems checked out. And yes, to development has to happen. Look at Koloko. The development was lacking when he looked promising early. Yeah. I think once again, that's a failure of Nick Nurse. Koloko has a real strong change in the game when he's present in the game on the court. We see the difference in the presence around the rim, and our defense is a lot better. All the stats back this up. You can look at all the stuff about Koloko when he's on the court and when he's not on the court and the differences, and there are really good things that can be derived from this, even from just a little bit of time that he's been out there. Just imagine when he's better and he's even more like capable on offense, then we'll have all kinds, and he doesn't make rookie mistakes. He's going to be really, really good on our team. And he's going to be a very valuable rotation piece because he already has an unseen effect on the game whenever he's out there just in his presence. And, I'm ready to look at more of this next year for sure. I feel like in some ways we were right. Bradley was complaining all season. He had Koloko on his fantasy team. He's like, Nick, play Christian Koloko, Cowboy. I kept saying that all year. And I was like, I heard him. He's like, well, maybe he makes some mistakes. But then more and more as the year went on, I was like, you know what? He does need to be playing Koloko more. and he is not playing him enough. And in some ways, they let him go to 905 too late. They should have had him at 905 right away and get that time. But I know there was injuries with Pascal, and they had to leave him for the main roster. It was all screwed up. He was mismanaged to a degree this year, just like Delano Banton and Jeff Dowtin Jr. and Ron Harper Jr. So hopefully we just manage him way better. He comes back way stronger and more buff, and it's going to have a really good second year. That's what I'm hoping for Coloco. Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. Let's see. Trevor's saying Miami better win tonight. All right, let's talk about this next. They don't want to go back to Boston for game 7 because they're not gonna. Come on, come out. They're going to make sure Boston wins. This is really scary, Trevor, and I'm with you on this. They got to take care of business today. You are in Miami. You need to beat them in Miami. I don't care if it's fun to go and break the hearts of Boston fans on their own home court in a game 7. There's no chances in some ways that y'all will win that game, especially if they have the momentum of winning 3 straight and y'all haven't won since then. Y'all need to do this tonight. I don't care if you mess around and don't win tonight, Miami, you're going to lose that series, and it will be Boston making history and going up against Denver. So don't play around, Kyle. Please, Kyle and Jimmy and Bam and all the rest of y'all need to just win tonight. Now, let me tell you about the refs tonight for this game. Zach Zarba is going to be the crew chief in Miami for game 6. Boston at Miami. He very much favors the Miami Heat. He is a heavily favored ref for the Miami Heat statistically. Josh Tiven is the second ref. He is very, very close. It's very, very close. Boston is just slightly favored by Josh Tiven over Miami, but it is just minuscule difference. Very, very, very slight difference. Very even almost, but just slightly favoring Boston. And then James Williams completely favors Boston. So we've got a ref that favors Miami, a ref that favors Boston, and a ref that's kind of right in the middle. Zach Zarba favoring Miami, James Williams favoring Boston, and Josh Tiven right down the middle. So it is a very even referee crew for game 6, Miami in Boston. Yeah, I am hoping and praying that Kyle and company can just take care of Boston now. You do not want to be playing on Monday. Trust me, y'all. Y'all need to get this done and get to the finals so you can play Joker and Jamal in the finals and the Nuggets. Yeah. Woo, man, you do not want to mess around with this. Seriously. Listen to Trevor J and I and get this done, Miami Heat. Don't play around. Seriously. You are already playing around too much with them and making them feel too good. You need to quash that tonight and make that fire of the Heat, flame them right on out of the playoffs, those Boston Celtics. That's right. All right, let's see. Mike saying Nick was about development. He's the one that gave Siakam the room to grow into an all-NBA talent. Nick focused on the main guy's development too much and wasn't able to fit certain guys into a system. I can agree with this in certain ways. When we talked about this yesterday or in the last couple of days, about development and whether Nick's a development coach, because I kind of laughed at that the other day. Channing Frye on his little Instagram piece saying that Nick's a great development coach. I kind of laughed at that when I heard that, because in some ways I don't agree with this. Mike, I can see where he helped develop Siakam to a higher level from where he was already at, but he didn't make Siakam into who Siakam is. Casey did. Seriously, all the stuff that happened with Siakam with his huge leaps and jumps happened before Nick kind of took over in some ways. Now, Nick allowed him to expand at a higher level into even higher levels after that. Same with Fred. But in some ways, he didn't help them with the early development. And that's the whole problem. He can make development happen with guys that are a high level. He develop even further. But he's not very good at helping guys that are just starting out. It's kind of like a little seedling. He's not very good with seedlings, but he's okay with saplings, people that are already further along with growing up. And in some ways, that's not what we need right now. I don't want to Siakam and Fred are going to develop and be great at the level they are on top of what they are right now on their own. We need coaches that need to help Coloco and Delano and the young guys more than helping the established guys get to new heights in their level. It's like, okay, you've been all NBA, you've been all-star, you've done this, you've done that. You want to keep pushing those guys over and over again? They're going to hit their ceiling at some point. Siakam's less likely to hit his ceiling, but Fred is definitely likely to hit his ceiling soon. So it's kind of like, why put so much energy in those guys and so much time? It pisses me off, and that's why he's fired. Let's see. Trevor's saying maybe Nick Nurse was, but oh, Trevor's pulled the butthole face today. I was wondering if somebody was going to remember this from yesterday. He has put out the emoticon of the butthole face, the Coach Bud, Coach Nick Nurse butthole face. That is the official emoticon for it in the chat. That that one big eye face. That's the butthole face. Trevor is getting the first official butthole face. And you know what? Just for that, Trevor J, you're going to get a dunk. Trevor J is getting his second dunk for just making the butthole face continue because he posted it. Oh my gosh, crazy. All right, good dunk. I do still have the dunk sheet here, guys. The dunk sheet with everybody's name on it and all the dunks y'all get. It's awesome. It seems like Seymour and Isaac and Kareem are like the leaders in the dunks. They have lots of dunks. They do. G saying, thinking about it, maybe the big name coaches don't really want to develop players as a focus. To them, may seem like a step back at this point in their careers. Not everybody is a pop. Yeah, I've thought about this. Like that may be part of what's not attractive about coming to Toronto is that aspect of things. And in some ways, that's why maybe you have to mirror with a young coach. That may be why we're actually looking at some of the younger coaches more so than like Doc Rivers and Coach Bud or something like that. Because maybe very well what you're saying, G, is exactly true. Is that we kind of have to match where we're at with our team with somebody who's willing to go in at that level and kind of grow with them. And in some ways, guys that have already gone through that kind of process, like Nick Nurse and other people, they don't really kind of want to be in that stage. Obviously, Nick's not good at that stage. So I think you're exactly right, G. This may be part of why our coaches search is kind of weird and different than, say, Milwaukee's. Their search is probably a whole lot different because of where they're at with things with their team. They really are kind of a team that should have been in the finals this year, but they screwed up in the first round. And in some ways, they don't have to blow this team up a whole lot, but they may lose some guys. That's the other thing. Some of these guys are going to have to get contracts, and they have to figure out how they're going to do things. So, and Philly's definitely going to be disassembled a certain amount this summer. So in some ways, that job may be kind of up in the air and not totally attractive to people too, because there's a lot of disarray in the Sixers with the question marks around James Harden and Joel Embiid. So in some ways, the Milwaukee job and the Phoenix job are the most attractive because they in some ways seem the most stable. Although Phoenix is going to have some change too. I mean, I think that Ayton might be moved and Chris Paul will probably not be there either. And there'll be new people coming in there, maybe Fred. That's what we keep thinking. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Milwaukee may be the most attractive job just because of Giannis and kind of the stability and their record from last year. They had the best record in the NBA. So that is kind of, I guess, the most attractive job that's open right now. Infamous is saying, let's not forget Clutch and Masai have a great relationship. Yeah, thank God in some ways that's true. And hopefully that is what happens. I mean, in some ways they have a great relationship, but you know why? It's not because they're friends and they're chummy. It's because they respect each other. It's because when they step into the boardroom, they know it's going to be a little bit of a fight, but they're good adversaries as far as like working with each other. And they kind of have to respect each other. Now, Clutch may get in a boardroom with another GM who's not as astute or carries himself like Masai and Bobby do, and they may eat them for lunch and really kind of mess them up in some ways. That's the thing. I'm so glad we have like tough guys in our front office. They're very good negotiators and not going to like roll over and do dumb stuff. When there's dumb trades and dumb moves in the NBA, it's probably because the GM's weak and they don't know what they're doing, or they've got had it one put over them by like somebody like Masai making a trade and like kind of stealing something from them. The Clutch could actually step in the boardroom with certain GMs and probably run things very much themselves, but probably not with Masai. So when they step into the boardroom with Masai, it's an equal kind of like meeting and like really a real negotiation. So I don't know if they exactly have a great relationship, but they definitely have one that they respect each other and they have worked together with each other with very much tooth and nail and very much like working where like we understand you're very good at what you do and we're very good at what we do, and we are going to like work this out in a respectful way. I don't know if they're exactly just warm and fuzzy, but I'll bet you there is a lot of respect. Masai saying, I just met Abraham last season and he followed me right away on Instagram. We communicate often since. That is awesome. Monique, you really are a Raptors insider. And that is something that I appreciate about you, because you would quite often come back telling me things about Nathaniel Mitchell and different people around the organization because you have linkages to these people and you talk to them. So more of that, Monique. You keep going and being a Raptors insider. I'm telling you, we're going places, baby. We're going to get more and more interesting things happening with projects that we're doing and stuff like that. Who knows what could happen in the future, superfan Monique Lawrence? Who knows what could happen? We got to keep going in the direction and find out. We got to find out, Monique. Mike's saying Gary Trent Jr. could opt into his player's option. His year wasn't the level that would earn the big bump in the next contract. He could wait to try and get that contract number higher. This is awesome, Mike. And this would make total sense because in some ways, things are unsettled with the contracts around the NBA and the money may be way better next year. And you're exactly right. Gary had an up and down season. He had a real period of fantastic play in the middle of the season, but he had some dead periods where he was absolute dog shit also. In fact, he was horrible at the end of the season and he was hurt near the end of the season also. So in some ways, you might be right that he may very well just say, I'm taking the money that I'm already owed from the Raptors, just not, opting in, not opting out on his player option. And he's going to just stay. And he may have already told them that. And they're like, green light, Gary, on all stuff because he's staying. I would love this to be true. We can't afford to lose his shooting. In some ways, he knows that himself, and he knows that he's very valuable. But if he's really smart, he may understand that like the money may be better next summer, especially after a big year this year where he plays really well. So this may be very smart for him to do what you're saying exactly. I was saying that about Fred. It's like, what's everybody going to say when Fred doesn't opt out and he actually opts in and takes his year that he's supposed to for this year? That could still happen, even though he's running around with clutch right now. He may be like, my best option is to be like Gary and do the same thing and sacrifice. And then next summer, when there may be better money out there and the better performance overall for the whole season, boom, more money. And then they leave then. Who knows? But I like what you're saying, Mike. I really do. I don't think we can afford to lose Gary in to a degree. And if we do, it's going to hurt. It's very much going to hurt. Nameless is saying, I have a funny feeling front office feels Nick was misusing the roster the entire season. Yeah. I think that Masai and Bobby were a little hands off for a while with Nick and just letting him do things. And they didn't, like they said, babysit him. And maybe they should have been keeping tabs on him a little bit better. I think that some of the stuff that happened with the coaching staff issues were kind of kept in house and like hidden from Bobby and Masai to a degree. And Nick was trying to handle them internally with just himself. And maybe because it sounds like they didn't understand or why Earl was asked not to come to New York on that trip. That they were like, whoa, wait, coach, why did you tell Earl not to come on this trip and talk to him? And then they told them about it afterwards. It's like, well, wait, you weren't on top of all that when it was happening, Masai and Bobby? It's almost like you found out afterwards and you're like, wait, Nick, why'd you do that? It shows that they weren't paying close enough attention with what was happening around the coaching staff. And they are not going to make that mistake again. Trust me, they are not. They really are not. Denal saying, hey, Raptor Freaks, random question. Unrelated to the Raptors, no problem. We answer all questions. In fact, you could ask me a really weird, like general philosophical question about life or anything, like any subject. In some ways, this is a anything goes kind of channel. We'll talk about anything. If you guys have a concern or something you want to talk about, we can do that. It's within reason. Let's see. All right. Does anyone know someone selling a recumbent trike for a good price? 2 wheels up front and 1 in the rear. Thanks. Those are awesome bikes. And I know what you're talking about. I don't know of anyone personally around Toronto or anything, but I would guess, if you go and look at like Lecanto or Craigslist or different places online, you could find one probably for sale somewhere on like one of those sites, like Craigslist. And I wish you luck in finding something like this. I had a really hard time just finding a regular bike a couple years ago. And I ended up buying a bike during the pandemic because everybody's buying bikes. They were all sold out because nobody was going anywhere. And they want to get exercise. And the only bike I could find was a bike that was a Corona bike. How poetic. It's the coronavirus. And my bike is a Corona beer bike. And then not only on that, it has stickers for Corona beer all over it. I'm an alcoholic and I don't drink. I haven't drank in 13 years. And I have a bike that has Corona beer bottles all over it. And the other joke I would make is nobody's going to steal my bike because nobody wants to get Corona. It's so stupid. Oh, that's so dumb. But yeah, I wish you luck with finding the recumbent bike, Denial for sure. But I would check those places online. Tom Duke is saying, "Ha ha, denial. Have you ever used one before? Seem awkward, but also comfy and ergonomic." They were awesome. Like I think that anybody could use them. It's not some people have to use them in their certain situation, but anybody could use them, and nobody should look down on people. I've seen some cyclists look down on people that use those kind of bikes, and they need to just shut the fuck up. Just let people do their lives. They need a recumbent bike, or they want to use a recumbent bike. Let them use a recumbent bike. It's not any of your business, honestly. And it's great that we have different technology that allows people the ability to do different things like that. So yeah, I don't like people that are snobs towards people like that and stuff like that. But yeah, go find one, Denal. I wish you the best. MSJ saying, I want to see Miami win, but if I had to put money on it, I would drop my cash on Boston. If we were honest, Boston is better. And tonight, Miami has to put a game together and win. Yeah, I can't disagree with anything MSJ is saying here. Boston is the better team, but Miami has the more dog in their fight. But they lost the dog, and that's the scary thing is they got to reacquire the dog in their fight, and they have to do it tonight. If they don't do it tonight, well, your money is very well put on Boston for sure. MSJ on that point. But yeah, oh man, they really got to do it tonight in their own house. They do not want to go to Boston on Monday. They do not. You need to take care of business today. You really, really do. Mike's saying, Nick developed certain guys. We had two all rookie guys, Terrence Davis the second and Scotty. It was his system stopping certain guys from really getting minutes. Yeah, the haves and the have-nots. You have to play at a certain all-around level to play in his rotation. And in some ways, I don't agree with that. I've never agreed with that. All right, let me explain it. It's this, Mike. The defense that he had running for the Raptors the last couple of years, it took very high IQ, high athletic, high all-around players that are just absolute studs. And in fact, that's why he had to play our guys so much, because it doesn't work with lesser talent from the bench. But see, that's the problem. That's the system he created that doesn't fit the players that he has on the team. And that's the problem I have. The system dictated that you had to be this certain level of excellence and all around athletic ability, like a Scotty Barnes or OG Anunoby, to play in it. And that froze these other guys out. Well, that's the problem. You need to be able to use some of the role player skills from those guys. They're useful. And in some ways, his system was too rigid and strict to allow for these kind of guys to come in and make useful role player contributions. Now, the difference between the Heat and the Raptors is exactly that. You got guys on their team that are unathletic and able to work within their defensive scheme that is very frantic and hurried also. But they've allowed, Spoelstra has allowed for role players like Duncan Robinson and all these other guys to get their time and get out there and shine in their own way with their own specific skills. And Nick never allowed for this. He never allowed for this. We could have had a more of a 3-point specialist in Malachi Flynn. We could have had different things with other guys, but he didn't allow for role players on our team. It was absolute premium all around best players, athletic players got to play as much as possible. And that's that. Everybody else, you're not going to get to play. And that's him being rigid and strict with his system, freezing out other guys. That's what I'm saying. You can do it. Spoelstra's doing it with Miami and showing how you can use role players. Some people have said recently the Lakers and the way Darvin Ham used the lesser, better players than LeBron and all that, a certain way with them and generating offense showed that you can generate offense with a less talented offensive lineup. And that Nick, in some ways, just failed on the offensive end with generating good shots for our team with the schemes and the system that he had in place. It was really a struggle for us to get any good shots. And I blame Nick for that. We have too many good players, too many mismatches all the time for us to struggle on offense so often the way we did last year. Absolutely a fail. Absolutely a fail. Let's see. Infamous is saying, I agree, logical. He is good with development. Mule told the story that Casey refused to play the young guys. Listen, I don't think that's totally true because I can remember Casey giving a lot of good time to a young Van Vliet, a young Siakam, and a young Anunoby. Anunoby, in fact, started his rookie year. I don't know if that's completely accurate about Casey. Casey, in some ways, is very good at developing young players. In fact, that's why he was, in some ways, Detroit was starting to get better, but now he's retired, so he's going to go in the front office. Mike is saying Nick's system really needed 3 and D guys at all positions. If a player didn't have either, it was a weakness on the court. Yes, yes, that's exactly right. He had a very strict thing that he needed to make it work, and he didn't exactly have that personnel. In fact, I think that's unrealistic, the personnel that he thought he could have to do what he wanted to. Maybe he saw the traits of the guys. He's like, we're real close. We could almost do this exact thing that I've dreamed about doing forever as a coach. But it still wasn't exactly the everybody exactly right. Some of the guys are really good at D didn't hit threes consistently enough, and then some of the guys who hit threes did not do the D consistently enough. The opposite. So Cool Cat saying, I wonder if some of the coaching changes is due to some being ride to Nick Nurse and Team Canada making a clean break, so Nick Nurse doesn't have insight. Hmm. You know, I I don't know. See, like the whole thing with Team Canada and Nick Nurse is weird because the commitment that the players have had to give, the coach has to give too. And just because we broke our commitment with Nick Nurse as the Raptors doesn't mean that commitment needs to be broken with Team Canada yet. But that's the kind of thing. I played this up in a certain way. This FIBA tournament in August, the games in Germany next month or in July, I think. They are going to be like the last dance for Nick Nurse. If he is not successful, if he does not get Team Canada to qualify for the Olympics in Southeast Asia in August, then he's done. He's not going to be the coach of Team Canada by the end of this year. He will get fired this fall from Team Canada also. Watch. He'll be relieved of his duties and they'll give it to somebody else. So I can very much predict this at this point. I think that it'll be a clean break for both of them. It'll be a clean break for Nick and not having to be tied to Canada. You can go coach a U.S. team and just live in the States. And then also Team Canada doesn't have to worry about any kind of weird, like residual toxic from his exit from the Raptors and whether he's committed to taking care of Team Canada at this point. I think the writing's on the wall there too. I think that it's a logistic thing with geography. And then also, like, in some ways, I wouldn't trust him to give the right effort for Team Canada at this point if he's not based mainly out of Canada. That if he's going to be in Phoenix coaching the Suns, that's nowhere near Canada and not close enough to all the prospects and the OVO Center and all the different things he needs to do. Now, he's still allowed to come to OVO Center and use it for Team Canada this summer. In fact, they've said that very much. Team Canada uses Toronto Raptors facilities to do a lot of their work. So he will still be around our organization in some ways. And that might be a little awkward, running into Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri in the hallway or something like that. Or maybe some of the players or something. I don't know. That may be part of the reason why things are kind of like we need to play nice, because Nick may still be lurking around because of his Team Canada duties and his access to our facilities. So that's a whole interesting thing, that part of it too, that I just thought about Cool Cat, is that he is, they are going to use Team Canada uses OVO Center, and he will be coming back to OVO Center and still using the NOAA apparently until we throw it in the lake. Yeah, Cowboys here. All right, good morning, Lex and Rapid Freaks. Just want to say everyone have a great day and enjoy the weather. Got to go. That's right. It's a Saturday. Have a great Saturday, Bradley. Hope you have a good time. Tomorrow, Sunday ref report. We're going to get in depth more on the Raptors, how the referees treated us this past season. Some of the better refs, some of the refs that are usually villains did a little bit better this year and were nice to us. Some of the refs that weren't were good to us in the past, not so good to us this year. It's basically like a stock market. I'm basically going to be looking at where they were at the beginning of the season before the season started last year, and where they ended up at the end of the season with their winning percentage with the Raptors, how much of an increase or a decrease in wins or losses from the course of this entire season. So we'll be going over that tomorrow. A very in-depth Raptors Freak special Sunday ref report. And I did a lot of the work yesterday, and it's really interesting. Some of the stuff I found out yesterday is really interesting. Let's keep going. Denal saying, I have one at Tom Duke, and it's amazing. The two-wheel ones are awkward. Okay, there you go. Denal has one, and you want to get another one. Okay, cool. All right. Cool Cat saying Nick Nurse was trusted by Masai and Bobby and he had betrayed their trust. They were considered a trio and all on the same page. And Nick Nurse went off on his own. Yeah, yeah, he did go off on his own. I think he did hear that money could be bigger and he could go somewhere else. I wish he just stayed here, Nick. You shouldn't have played games. Like I've said, like, listen, the Messiah Ujiri does not negotiate with terrorists. And you acted like a terrorist at the end of the season with like your craziness and what you're doing. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna like give you more money just because you strong armed us or made us feel like this. No, you can go ahead and go. You're fired. I really do feel like that's how it happened. I think Nick was doing some sort of technique that he thought the Raptors would be cool with and just pay him more money and say, yeah, Nick, we really do need you. We're going to, instead of like paying you 8 million next year, we're going to up it to 10 and we're going to increase the years on your contract. So you're here even longer. Yes. Yes. That's what I was aiming for. No, we're not doing that. You fucked up our season. You're gone. You're fired. It's just like that. Yeah. Tom Duke's laughing. It's cool. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas, original Raptor freak. Good to see you, Kareem. It doesn't matter who wins in the East. Denver's going to win in 4. Jokic is having the most prolific playoff run ever. To win back-to-back MVPs and follow it up with a chip is miraculous. You know, this is really building his legend. I'm all for it. I think that Jokic does need to win a chip because it really will make him bona fide. And honestly, you're right. Just the way you laid it out there with like 2 back-to-back MVPs followed up by a championship. Yeah, you go ahead and be MVP Joel Embiid. You can go ahead and be that MVP. I might be the finals MVP very, very soon, is what Nicola's saying. Yeah, I like to think that you're right. I hope you're right. I seriously do. Now, there's always concerns, Kareem, with when the team has such a long layoff that they finish their series and the other one's still going and they get too much time off. And they kind of have a momentum and a rhythm going with their team. And if you sit for too long, it's not always good. I'm a little bit worried about that for Denver. But I hope that Miami just finishes things up today and they are the ones facing them in the finals. And I don't think Miami will have anything for Denver. In fact, it could be another sweep. It could very much be, like you're saying, winning it in 4 if it is the Miami Heat. Now, if the Celtics do manage to pull off this crazy comeback in Game 7, they will give a better fight to the Nuggets than the Heat. It's really a matchup thing. I don't know how they're going to handle what Denver does on offense with the Heat players. In some ways, they're already on their last legs. They need to just complete the Celtics series and beat them. And you know what? That's an accomplishment in itself. That the 8th seed, the play-in team that weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs in old systems of the NBA is getting all the way to the NBA Finals. That's a huge accomplishment. Now, if they won too, I'd be shocked. But yeah, I think you're right. I think this is Denver's championship to lose, and they need to be ready and stay ready on this off time to be ready for the very first game in Denver when they get to kick the butt of whoever they're going to face. Yeah, I want to see them kick one of these teams' butts. Yeah, Mischief's here. Good to see Mischief. Mischief's a newer name in the chat. I love your comment yesterday, Mischief, and thanks for the sub. And we're here every morning at 9:30 in the morning. So please come back again. Let's see what he's saying. If the Raptors sign Austin Reeves and Christian Wood and let Fred and Gary walk, you think the Raptors are over a 500 team? That's a great question. Thank you. Austin Reeves is great for like the shooting and helping us. But you know what? I don't know if he's an upgrade over Gary Trent Jr. In fact, I would say that Gary Trent Jr.'s defense is probably better than Austin Reeves. So I don't like that switch. And if it does seem like Gary is going to just opt in and stay with the Raptors this summer, then I would not like to switch that out. Christian Wood could be very helpful to our team, but in some ways he's kind of in that position that I want Koloko to be in this season. As far as like, we don't necessarily need a starting center, and Christian Wood hasn't necessarily started in recent years. At Dallas, it was very much a thing where he came off the bench and he didn't like it. And that's part of the reason why he's leaving Dallas. In fact, that's part of the problem with Christian Wood. He's shown up a couple places in his last few stops, and they haven't had the best taste in their mouth around him. As far as he's not very easy to work with, and he complains, and he's kind of a jerk. So I don't know if I want Christian Wood on the team in general. I can see the offensive great play of him and his skills, but he may be a headache in certain ways. It's not necessary to bring in. So I don't really like the moves. Now, I'd like to keep Gary, and if Fred stays, I'll be very, very happy. I think we will be over 500 next season, though, regardless of whether we do the moves you're suggesting. I just think we're going to do better. We're going to have a better coach. a better coaching and better energy around our team. And we should be above 500 team next year. I am going to predict that right now. Of course, I'm an optimistic homer, but I do see the routes where we could surprise people once again, like we always do. And the NBA may be saying, well, the Raptors were supposed to be horrible this year, but we're actually one of the top Eastern teams. It really is like a thing where we just get it to click and the guys start humming like together as far as like vibing. And then all of a sudden on the court, it's just awesome what they're doing. And we're winning a lot. So I could see that happening. Is we're a lot closer to that than people think. And, a lot of smart people that watch the NBA, former players, analysts, they know how close the Raptors are to actually making things work. And but they don't want to say it too loud because in some ways they want to see if we make a mistake and we blow it up like a lot of our fans are trying to tell us to. So we'll have to see. Fred may be gone, but I don't think Gary is at this point. Like I was saying earlier, it seems like Gary is the way that they're treating him on the Raptors social media is like he's going to be a Raptor next year. They wouldn't put him on blast in the summer if this wasn't true. And in some ways, that's kind of signaling this. Great comment, Mischief, and we welcome you and we hope to see you more. Mike is saying infamous is correct. Casey didn't play certain guys also. I'm trying to think of them, but like they were people like James Johnson. There were people like who was he not playing? Like I think he gave like good shots to almost everybody. He allowed Fred to grow and become who he was. Fred, if he was really bad with development, Fred VanVleet wouldn't exist right now. Let's just put it that way, Mike. Like seriously, he would not have had the path as an undrafted player to go from where he went with 905 all the way up to the top like he did if Dwayne Casey is what you're saying. Seriously, think about it this way. You can give credit to Nick for Fred and Pascal, but that's not true. It's Casey. It's Casey. They had their huge leaps and bounds from being nobodies to being big time from Casey. Seriously, Casey gave them the chances. And it was just Nick that enhanced their chances at the level they were already at. So let's see. Infamous is saying X blah. X blah. I don't know. Monique saying anytime we discuss Jim is always great. W stream all around. Ears are wide open in reference to the team in the coming days. Go Raptors and stay positive. That's right, Monique. We're wishing good things from Masai Ujiri. When I saw him at the WNBA game a couple weekends ago, I said to him very loudly in the arena, I said, I wish you good luck, Mr. Ujiri, in all of the things you have to do this summer. May you be fast, lucky, and good with all of your decisions on what you have to do to help this team be good next year. I said that real loud in the Scotiabank Arena when everybody was leaving, coming out the door, and he was standing on the court with people. I don't think he heard me, but at least I put it out there. Infamous is saying great weather today. Lex, have a productive day. Yeah, I'm going to be going out the cottage country tomorrow and working tomorrow and Monday. But today I've got work I've got to do here in Toronto first. And then I'll be able to go out there tomorrow. So yeah, I'm going to definitely have a productive day. Saturday is not a day off for me. Neither is Sunday. I work every day of the week, 7 days a week. I am always working. I don't take a day off. I'm always doing something. Fiercely saying, agreed at Cool Cat. They were not on the same page. And I clearly remember he was asked at a presser. He was not believable at all when answering, oh, yeah, they weren't on the same page. Yeah, I get that vibe completely from things. Like I started to see the difference in their things like at the end of last season when Masai said one thing and Nick said the other. Masai said something like, we need to take time to develop and get better over time. And Nick said, we need to win right now. That is really the fork in the road with them is right there. Development versus winning now. Development and then winning later or winning now and just trying to win now. And that was Nick winning now and Masai saying this. And when they said that, I was kind of like, okay, they're saying opposite things. And I took note of that at that time, but I didn't realize that really is the fork in the road where those guys kind of went opposite and they weren't on the same page anymore. That really was a tell when they did their end of season interviews last year, not this past year that just ended. That's when I heard that stuff. And I was like, that's not lining up. They're not on the same page. Fiercely saying, welcome to the fam, Mischief. That's right. Welcome, Mischief. And I see everybody has like cut off their comments at the cutoff time. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Kareem saying also, Mike Connolly drafted Yusuf Nurkic in the first round and the Joker in the second. Most GMs are so egotistical that they would ride with their first round pick, but Mike moved Nurkic and went with Jokic. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes people go all in on projects and keep using them and going through with them because of their own ego. Like in some ways, I worry about this with Malachi. As far as like Masai doesn't want to give up on Malachi because he really is somebody he's invested in, really believed in. And what part of Masai's ego is actually keeping Malachi Flynn around the team? I worry about that sometimes. And this is great. Like this shows the wherewithal of the GM of the Nuggets to understand, I think this is the dude we should actually keep, and this guy can move, and it was the right decision. And you see that it's paying off. And sometimes if you may not want to go with the second round or the guy drafted during a Taco Bell commercial, but he is the right guy and you know it and you see it and you believe it in your heart. You got to do it, believe in your heart, even if it goes against what you thought before. And yeah, that's smart. That's just smart. That's good player analysis at each stage. Maybe when they drafted them, it's like Nurkic was head and above Jokic. But then when they got in and they started working with them a little bit and they saw the aptitude, they saw maybe some of the intelligence or like the IQ on the court, and they're like, holy crap, this Jokic guy, he may be fat and he may look like he doesn't look like a basketball player, but he has some really weird like basketball skills that are not like totally fitting to his body type and who he is. And they had to change that. So, it's that kind of stuff. It's always good to be flexible and amend your opinions and your decisions on things with new information. This is something we talk about on this channel all the time is people that think they know everything all the time. They're just stubborn. Well, you need to be able to learn new tricks. You can't be an old dog like that, especially in this ever changing world. I talked about that with my father and my mother the other day, that like older people that are okay with kind of learning technology and keeping up to date with the wave of stuff coming through will be much happier and maybe even live longer because the new technology may come in and enhance and make their lives easier in older age. Now, there may be a lot of older people that are turned off by it and scared by it because it's progress and it's change and they just want it to be the way it was in the 50s or something like that. Well, that's the tough thing. It's like you better get with it and change with the times because the times are changing. And in some of the things that we're coming up with in life are things like smart houses, smart cars, smart things that can actually help us in certain ways that are new, that can be very, very helpful. So having an open embrace to new technology and that progress and change in the world can actually very much be beneficial to you in all kinds of ways. Because the people that are older that have cut off new technology and they're just, I don't even want to get into computers. There are older people that are like never even like got on the internet because it just scared them. They may be in trouble and they may not get all the benefits in life from kind of being closed-minded and saying, I don't want to learn anything new. So there you go. That's just a general life lesson in general. Always be ready to learn and change and adapt and be progressive with your thoughts to adapt and change as new information and new technology comes out. And you will thrive and you will stay okay in the ever changing technology world that we live in right now. You're welcome, Mischief. And we really appreciate you being here and keep coming. Yeah. Let's see. Fred VanVleet was better and more mature than Flynn. I think Flynn's very mature. Honestly, I don't knock Flynn for his maturity. He's been the ultimate professional, honestly, with all the ups and downs, and he's gone through. He has actually been really impressive to me, considering how much he's kind of not gotten anywhere in his career. And he's been very patient and still working really hard and not being a problem on the team and just being a good dude. I think they're both very mature. I don't think you can say that one's more mature than the other. I think Fred has been more mature partly because he had to be a mature little kid from very young, and he's always been super mature. But Malachi, in some ways, is very much like Fred in that way, also. So, but Fred is definitely better than Malachi as far as certain things, for sure. I'll give you that. Kareem saying, what's going to come first, a signing, a coaching hire, or another OG and Anobi Staples commercial? I hope it's an OG commercial. Those commercials are fire. I love the mashup of OG and The Office. It's like, have you ever wanted to know what OG Ananobi would be like as a cast member of the old sitcom The Office, US version? Well, just watch his Staples commercials, and you can imagine him in there with Dwight Schrute and Jim Halpern and Pam and all them in that office in Scranton. It's basically like that. It's amazing. I think this is how it's going to go down, Kareem. We're going to get a coach first. We're going to get a draft pick, and then all of the free agency stuff will happen after that. That's basically what's going to happen. We're going to get a coach in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Then we'll do the draft, and then we'll start moving players around. Maybe we'll hear something about Fred and Gary around then. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen in that order. Mike, thank you. W stream to you also, and W drop later on 2 o'clock. Check out Logical Raptors Fanatics YouTube channel. He's got something coming out at 2. Tom Duke saying, let's go, Kyle, Jimmy, Buckets, and the rest of the Heat. Have an awesome day, everyone. Yeah, let me just go make sure I didn't miss anything I want to talk about. Once again, Jim Sann, such a quality, amazing person with a vast basketball experience, with very good mentors and coaches around him and different players. He is just a rich person to have around our team for a culture and just giving good guidance and antidotes and teachings to young players like Scotty Barnes and Christian Coloco. Thank you, Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, for retaining Jim Sann. And thank you, Jim Sann, for still walking on this earth and being still a part of the Toronto Raptors organization. We appreciate you being on this team just as much as you appreciate life in it itself. So thank you, Jim Sann. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And if you do get to see this, know that the Raptor Freak family loves you, brother. We love you, man. And yes, tonight, Celtics and Heat. The referees tonight are Zach Zarba, Josh Tiven, and James Williams. Zach Zarba favors the Miami Heat. James Williams favors the Boston Celtics, and Josh Tiven is right down the middle with a slight favoritism to the Celtics. So it's a very even game, one that's right for either team to take, but Miami needs to just go ahead and close that door. Don't mess around no more, Jimmy and Kyle and Bam. Yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Share it with your friends. Tell some other great Raptor friends that you know that need more content about the Raptors. It's kind of positive and for the Raptors and not so trollish and negative and pessimistic and tearing down the team. We love the Raptors. We want to see them win more Larry O'Briens. We don't want to tear this team apart like some people around our nation do. So we talk about it in a very realistic, positive way, but we also are very real about things. We do know that Fred may be very much leaving this summer, and we got to treat it delicately and with respect, because he is a Raptor legend. We do love him, and we got to understand that things is a business, and things may change and happen very soon, and it may be unfortunate and sad, but who knows? Maybe he'll be back also. Like, I'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m., Sunday special report, talking about the Raptors and the referees and who were our friends as referees last season and who were not our friends as referees. Scott Foster. Scott Foster. Yeah, we know Scott Foster wasn't our friend last year. No, he wasn't. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Let's go Raptors!